Let's study the internal anatomy of the heart next. You should have the Q drive open and you should be on the slide of the internal anatomy. On this slide, you can see some of this anatomy.
Turn to page 657 of your textbook also.
This slice through the heart shows the 4 chambers and the septa dividing them. Septa are tissues that divide one chamber from the other. We have a left and a right atrium and a left and a right ventricle. The atria are separated by the interatrial septum, and the ventricles are divided by the interventricular septum. On the next slide, you can see the 4 valves of the heart. They are the left and right AV valves between the atrium and the ventricles. The left AV valve is also known as the bicuspid valve, and the right AV valve is known as the tricuspid valve. This relates to the number of flaps the valve has. You might think that the left side should have more flaps because it is the more muscular side of the heart, but it is just the opposite of what you suspect or expect. The other 2 valves are the pulmonary semilunar valve and the aortic semilunar valve. These exit the heart. These are also known simply as the aortic and pulmonary valves. When a doctor listens to your heart with a stethoscope, she is listening for valve sounds that may indicate a faulty valve. Do you remember what the process of listening is called? It's auscultation. Remember that from way back when? The next slide shows the muscles and the heartstrings that keep the flaps in place, the valve flaps in place. The heartstrings are called chordae tendineae, and the muscles are papillary muscles.
The chordae tendineae is a string-like tendon. Now a string has 2 ends, so here's a good question. What's attached to either end of the chordae tendineae? There must be 2 things, since a string has 2 ends. Hint, hint, you better find out the answer to this one.
Along the inside of the ventricles are thin strands of tissue called trabeculae carneae. Carne means meat, and trabeculae refers to the thin strands. So there you have the anatomy of the heart. Make sure you study these models and study the slides that you see here, but make sure you look at the real models also and study the anatomy that you must know, referring to your lab objective sheet and all the anatomy that you find there.